We've been celebrating our 1-year anniversary here with the Nation Network this week, and lo and behold, it's time to welcome in a new teammate. You know him really well from his work over the years, hockey broadcasting, the 32 Thoughts podcast. It is our pleasure to welcome to the show and welcome to the team, Mr. Jeff Marek.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much. So you're 1 year, I'm 1 day. Am I here for a rookie lap? Is that what?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Sekeres Price rookie lap here, boys.
Helmet is off, though. That's good.
Take a tour around the living room, Jeff. We'll wait on you.
Just got this menu from your producer. I guess I'm bringing you guys lunch, too. Is that Yes, sir,
right.
Mr. Price, Mr. Sekeres. Yes, right away, sir.
Just
right away.
carry my bags to the door. That's all I ask.
You've had history with our producer, 4-time Juno Award winner Mike Rogers, and he worked with you guys on 32 Thoughts.
He did. He saved us numerous times is what he did. Totally bailed us out. Mike, we love you. Thank you so much. What's up,
We
boys?
have you. We have you on the show because you had a big announcement today. You're joining the Nation Network with your new show called The Sheet.
The sheet, the sheet, as in game sheet, as in score sheet, or the sheet of ice was kind of a metaphor that's been sitting there for a number of years. I'm kind of surprised that no one has picked it up, and I'll pick that up, ladies and gentlemen, quickly. I'm really thrilled to be here. You know, the one thing that I've been telling people about the Nation Network, and you guys know this better than I do, having worked here for a year already, the creative freedom that you're allowed here, and the way that, and even I've just been, with this group, talking to them for only a couple of weeks. It seems as if this is a company that tries to find a way to say yes to ideas as opposed to the default knee-jerk reaction of no, and we're not going to tell you why you're not going to be able to do that. Like when I first started talking to the group here, it was, and you guys have been part of interviews like this before, well, if you came over here, what would you like to do? And I just, shot for the moon and said, bam, 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 just ran down laundry list style. And they said, okay, would there be anything else to that as well? And it turned into this sort of huge job profile, but it's like this wish list of things that I've always wanted to do. And the other thing that I really find attractive about the Nation Network is there's this really nice dynamic of established veteran voices like yourselves, and there's young sort of future superstar, future impact players, and not just people that are front facing as well, like behind microphones and behind cameras as well, which is like a really healthy mix of both people that are getting their careers underway and people that have been here for a long time. And that dynamic really appealed to me as well. And listen, I get to work with my old 32 Thoughts producer, Amel Delich.
I know.
You know how I have a soft spot in my heart for Amel. So I'm a fan of so many of these shows. Like I listened to you guys for, back when I was doing 32, I listened to you guys for, my Canucks info. And I would say, well, you know what? I got to steal that take from Blake over there. Maddie made a great point. Let me see if I can fudge some words and make it my show. So I'm thrilled.
Well, you're very kind.
Well, and, you know what they say, greatness borrows, but genius steals. So
there you go.
You're very kind, and you're so right about had a similar experience observation here at the Nation Network. It kind of reminds me of being back in my newspaper days when there were big bustling newsrooms. You remember when there used to be big bustling newsrooms, Jeff?
And
it was a great thing.
Bustling
radio stations too.
Wheels spinning and razor blades and chalk and tape and get this and this, load this cart. All those days are all gone.
Yeah, I can remember walking in the Fan 590 way back in the day when you were there, and Wilner was going off to the Blue Jays and Howard was going off to the Leafs. You actually had reporters going out and making calls and trying to figure things out. It was
what are these?
An amazing environment to be in. So I'm glad to welcome you.
Yeah, thanks. What are these reporters you speak of, by the way? These reporters you speak of, I'm unfamiliar.
Reporters in the field. It's the damnedest thing.
What?
Tell us more about the sheet. How often's going to go, and what's going to be?
What was on that laundry list?
Yeah, exactly.
What was up? Well, there's a lot of things. I'm not sure what's in the release, but let's just splash it all out there. So, I mean, the sheet's going to be a daily show that turns into, like your guys have, turns into a podcast. 3 o'clock Eastern, noon Pacific. It's going to be sort of what I've wanted to do is kind of take a because it's in a day part where last night's news has already been discussed, and we're just starting to have that peak to the games that are coming up. So you sort of exist in this sort of interesting little pocket where you get a lot of time to sort of talk about stories and talk about issues And the one thing that I wanted to do with this thing, I was talking to my producer about this the other day, is have this, if I can be pretentious for a second, this, as Akira Kurosawa documented in his fantastic movie Rashomon, essentially have a 300.
I've seen that movie.
It's a fantastic, one of my favorite movies. So the premise is very simple, and it's been ripped off by everybody, most notably Quentin Tarantino. An event takes place, and the rest of the movie is telling about that event from all the different perspectives. And so what I thought might be a nice little thing to do on a daily show is you have the news of the day, and you sort of present it from, I guess, a 360 view is the most easy way to describe it, the all different views. So if there's a, like last week with, the Montreal-Pittsburgh game with Nola Chari and Yuri Slavkovsky and then Arbor Jackeye afterwards, you sort of present the Montreal side, and you present the Pittsburgh side, and then there was a Hockey Night in Canada controversy about it, and you sort of layer your own opinion on top of it. So it's a nice day part to be able to talk about issues and try to provide, not everything is prologue, as much context as you can for all the issues and stories of the day, all wrapped up in an hour, and news and stories and interviews, and we're coordinating guest co-hosts along the way too.
Love your takes on prospects and other leagues as well. I'm assuming you're going to do deep dives on that sort of stuff and PWHL, NCAA, all that stuff.
All of that, yeah. It's a pretty interesting time for the CHL, the NCAA, and eligibility rules, which is going to affect every single level of hockey. And I guess congratulations to the NCAA at the end of all of this. They find a spot on top of the development pyramid. What does that mean for the CHL? What does that mean for the USHL, the BCHL, et cetera, et cetera? All these things are going to get worked out. This show will be all over that. I'm really looking forward to working with Stephen Ellis. I think, we talk about, future impact players and burgeoning stars in the industry. That guy is all over it. So I'm looking forward to working with him. PWHL season is on the horizon as well. I'm very much looking forward to season 2. I'm sure you guys saw the jersey reveals. If you didn't like the names, don't worry about it. The jerseys look pretty sweet, and so you can enjoy that. Looking forward to season 2. And then there's just there's so many things. Like, I don't look at hockey as just, the National Hockey League, but you sort of look at it from an ecosystem point of view and how it all works together. Like, essentially, I'll approach this show like I've approached any other show that I've ever done. And that is, how does this work? And if you can explain how things work, then I think you're doing your job. You guys had a really interesting conversation about finding context, both historical and current, for Quinn Hughes on yesterday's show, which I found really fascinating. And it got me, you guys were talking about Quinn Hughes and how does he fit into, the best players with the Vancouver Canucks, and there's a Marcus Naslund conversation, and Henrik and Daniel, of course, 1 and 2, Exhibit A and Exhibit B. And then you got into the conversation, which I found really fascinating, about defensemen and the Lady Byng. Mm-hmm. And you brought up Jacob Slavin, and you're right. I don't know. The one thing about Jacob Slavin that I've always said, you always hear, teams and players talk about, he's got a good stick. There's no better stick in the NHL than Jacob Slavin. One of my favorite things to watch is Carolina Hurricanes games, and your viewers can watch this themselves once I mention it. Watch when Slavin's on the ice. Have you ever seen anyone slide the puck under his stick? It doesn't, it's almost, it's Lidstrom-like. Right. You do not put this puck under Jacob Slavin's stick. It's one of those skills that players look at and go oh, that's amazing. But anyway, so he's picked up a couple of Lady Byngs as well. And you mentioned Brian Campbell. So, and I'm with you on Brian Campbell for the Lady Byng, and he should have won the Lady Byng, and he did. But Brian Campbell laid one of the most devastating body checks we've ever seen in the history of hockey. Do you remember the RJ Umberger hits in the Buffalo-Philadelphia series? It's clean. It's perfect. I think that RJ Umberger's grandkids are going to have migraines from that hit that goes back to 2010. But I've always felt that we almost need a redefinition of the Lady Byng Trophy. And I'm going to give you one example. You guys talked about Trevor Linden yesterday. And there was, on his last games against the Calgary Flames, and Jerome Iginla, I remember watching the game, and Iginla wouldn't let Flames players leave the ice. He insisted on and directed all the Flames players to go over and shake Trevor Linden's hand, both as a player, but also as, I guess, the last president of the NHL Players Association. And I said to myself, you know what? Jerome Iginla fought 4 or 5 times that year. Jerome Iginla probably put up 70 or 80 penalty minutes as well. But for that one gesture, I'd include him in the Lady Byng conversation.
Nuts.
As far as like gentlemanly player, because all we say now is like big points and no penalty minutes. But I don't know that I saw anything more gentlemanly that year than Iginla making all the Calgary Flames players go and
Well, what's the Mark Messier award though? Isn't that the leadership award? Would that be filed under the Mark Messier award maybe?
I guess if you squint really hard, maybe. But like if you just look at the definition of the Lady Byng, like I still think like let me give you another example. Like I think that Zdeno Chara, when he played in the NHL, should have won the Lady Byng trophy every year.
Because he just didn't kill everybody. Yes. For that.
Not because of what he did, but what he chose.
What he could have done.
Like he could have named the entire league. He could have.
We'll rename it the Great Restraint Award.
Because Pronger did name the whole league.
Yeah, it's true.
Pronger did, and Zdeno Chara chose not to, which was nice of him.
Yes.
It's very sporting.
I thought it was an interesting. The one other thing I want to throw in about Trevor Linden really quick, but I love telling this story. And it involves teeth. I remember being at one of the hockey days in Canada back when I was working at CBC, and Trevor was with us, and we're sitting down at dinner, and I said, like, what was the moment where you realized you were retired? Because when it happens, like, it doesn't dawn on you for a while. And he said, it didn't dawn on me until I was in the dentist chair fixing my teeth, that I said to myself, you know what, I'm really now, because why would you fix your teeth when you're playing? Well, I think Robert Thomas in St. Louis just had dental surgery, and his teeth look great. Why would you do it while you're playing?
Yeah, bad move.
But Lyndon said, like, it wasn't until I was in the dentist chair that I realized, wow, I'm really not going back here. I'm really never going back.
Funny.
Yep. Thomas, those teeth have a lot of miles still to get through here.
Dave Tomlinson told us the same thing. He had his fake, he had his like his sort of the temporary fakes in. He's like, I'm not getting it done until I'm done.
Yeah, exactly. So you're really done. That's when you invest.
Yeah.
That's what.
Well, we're glad. We're glad our partners here at the Nation Network have invested in you, buddy. Welcome to the team, the sheet, everybody. Daily, when are you getting going here, Jeff? When does it start?
Early December, probably the 2nd. I would imagine. I don't think we've made that official yet, but that makes some sense.
And you'll be joining us as well.
Whenever you call, I can bore you with the Trevor Linden stories and Richard Brodeur stories and Pavel Bure. You pick it. I can bore you with any number of stories.
We're looking forward to it.
Yep.
Thanks,
Jeff.
boys. You be well.